Hello YouTube, this is AmKay at Purple Sky 11 and you're watching part 6 of my series featuring a dig through the Owen Hart police documents. In this episode, we're going to go over a report of findings from the crime lab, and then we're going to get technical because we have some police interviews with the manufacturer and distributor of the rigging equipment that was used for the stunt that tragically led to the death of Owen Hart at the Over the Edge event in Kansas City, Missouri on May 23, 1999. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, and if you'd like to support the channel, you may do so at the Cash App link that can be found in the description box. And with all of that out of the way, let's just get right to the content. Okay, the first document we're going to look at today is a report of findings from the Regional Criminalistics Laboratory in Kansas City, Missouri. You can see over here to the left, this report is about Owen Hart. And the case number, this says this is report number 3, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. And this is dated 6/10/1999, and this report is by John C. Clayton, the chief criminalist. We're going to start here with introduction, and this says that in the report dated 6/2/99, under item number 1 through 5, the word lumen should be corrected to read lumar. Now, it says the report dated 6/2/99, and I do not have a document dated 6/2/99. In part 5 was the second interview with Bobby Talbert that was dated 6/1, and then the file jumped to a report about the evidence bags that was dated 6/3. So I don't have a report dated 6/2, but I can say that when I did request this file, Sergeant Bikina did say that the report included pages that were available to the public. So I think it's pretty safe in this case to assume that I don't have the complete case file. Regardless, we'll do the best we can do. We did talk about Lumar previously in the other videos. Lumar is one of the manufacturers of the rigging equipment that was used for the stunt. And looking at this crime lab report, it says, description of evidence. The following items were recovered by crime scene technician Heather L. Lane, crime scene investigation section from 1800 Genesee, which is the address of Kemper Arena. And then it says JA, and I'm not sure what that stands for, but it says these items were recovered from Kemper Arena JA on 5/23/99, which was the date of the incident, and submitted as lab page number 1 on 5/26/99. And I can also tell you for sure that I don't have a document dated 5/26/99. In part 4 of the series is the report dated 5/25, when police went to the TV studio to collect the beta tape, and then it was 5/27 that the police did the phone interview with the witness, Sharon Kennedy, who was in the arena. But now looking at this description of evidence, so this is the list of items that were recovered from Kemper Arena. And we're going to look here, item number 1 through 5. The assorted gear in item number 1 through 5 was as follows. Number 1, 1 coil of black rope cordage that measured approximately 175 feet by 7/16 of an inch of static Kernmantle 16 carrier braided construction with an overhand knot in one end that was taped together with black 2-inch tape forming a loop. Number 2, attached through the loop was an oval quick link that also had the 2-inch wide black tape on it. Number 3, 1 Lumar swivel quick release with lanyard and ring with 2-inch wide black tape on it. Number 4, 5 WLL3 1/4 T 5/8 inch clevises, and then in parentheses it says 4 China 1 Crosby. Number 5, 1 SMC brake bar rack with 5 aluminum flip over bars. Number 6, 3 black polyester slings. In parentheses it says 2 Toughlex Liftall TA2 type BS2-30X6, serial number 041296, and TA4 Econoflex, serial number 021946, and then in parentheses behind that it says 1 was unmarked. Number 7, 2 5-inch locking D carabiners, and then in parentheses, 1 SMC, 1 Omega. And number 8, 1 5-foot length of 0.374-inch steel wire rope cable with a 4-inch thimble painted red at each end. So these items were recovered from Kemper Arena on 5/23/99. And why it says item number 1 through 5 and then there's 8 items listed here, I'm not sure. Then it says the following items were recovered by crime scene technician Heather L. Lane from 2301 Homes, TMCER, and that location is the Truman Medical Center emergency room where Owen Hart was taken. And these items were collected on, and then it goes on to the next page, collected on 5/23/99 and submitted as lab page number 2 on 5/26/99. And I feel like this item is the vest Owen was wearing when he fell. This is item number 2-4. 1 black XL AmSpec, the stunt serving team harness vest, serial number 120497, 818-782-6165, with 3 belt fasteners on the front. On the back, there is a loop at the top and bottom and 4 crisscross loops between these. The top crisscross 4 inches down from the top has a 5/16-inch WLL China clevis in it. This is where the quick release was attached. So does that description fit this image of Owen's harness? I think so. Do you agree? Disagree? Feel free to comment below. Then we have conclusions here. It says the test pull on the Lumar snap release catch or sear of the plunger was applied in line with movement of the release to produce the 8.5 pounds of pressure required to release the catch. 8.5 pounds. Now, other reports that I looked at said 5 pounds. An article I read said 6 pounds. So I guess it's just safe to say that it would release with less than 10 pounds of pressure. It says this snap release is not designed as fall protection equipment. It's not. I think that we've already established that. This says if the cord to release is pulled to the side at an angle, the pressure required to release the catch increases. Oh, okay. Well, this might be another reason why it's so important to understand whether or not that release cord had been taped to the side on the harness. Not just to keep the cord out of the way of being pulled accidentally, but also, and I think more importantly, if the cord is pulled to the side at an angle, then the cord, according to this anyway, would need to be pulled harder for the catch to actually release. This report says to keep the directional pull on the release cord in line with the release catch plunger, the quick release ring and cord were passed through the quote oval quick link. This allows the release to open when pulled with the quick release attached to the small clevis on the back of the vest as the wearer is suspended. Okay. That's the end of this report. You can see here page 2 of 2. And there is another crime lab report, but we'll get to that later, that deals with some other evidence that is unrelated to the rigging. So that's it for the crime lab report findings regarding these items of evidence. And now for the next report, we're jumping ahead to 6/14/1999. For this investigative case document, which is an interview with Beth Russell, who is a sales and marketing representative for Lumar, one of the manufacturers of the equipment. And again, this is in regard to Owen Hart. This report was by William Martin with the Homicide Unit, 1 page of this report, and again the date 6/14/1999. So on 6/14/1999 at 1100 hours or 11 o'clock a.m., the reporting detective, Detective Martin, contacted Beth Russell by telephone, who is a sales marketing representative for Lumar Marine, Inc., located in Gulliford, Connecticut. This was in response to their company being a distributor of items used during the stunt surrounding this case. She stated she was familiar with the snap shackle device sold by their company as a product used for marine equipment and yachting. She stated the manufacturer is located in Hampshire, England. And then I redacted the phone number. The report says, Beth Russell stated if there were any additional questions concerning the operation of this device, they should be directed to the product manager in charge of the hardware department in England, Matthew Townsend. She stated she was not aware of this device being used in anything other than marine boating or yachting. She stated she was not aware of this device being used in the stunt work field or any of the devices being sold to stunt companies or stunt equipment distributors. So they were using equipment that wasn't even supposed to be used for stunts. That's not good. This goes on to say that Beth Russell stated, we, as in the police, the detectives, may want to contact the manufacturer to see if they are aware of this item being distributed to any stunt equipment companies. And Russell stated she did not have a brochure for this item, but it is listed in their catalog, and she would fax a copy of that page to the reporting detective. And then that is the end of the report. So it looks like police are trying to find out about this rigging and whether everything was on the up and up with that, and it doesn't look good. I don't know if they were trying to cut corners with costs or I really have no idea. I can't think of any good reason why they would use marine rigging for the stunt instead of actual stunt rigging. I mean, these were supposedly professional riggers. Don't forget, Bobby Talbert went on to have a rather lucrative career in Hollywood after this. Why or how could someone go on to this level of work when your first big job goes so tragically wrong? I just don't get it. I just don't understand how this could have even happened in the first place. Now, on the following day, 6/15/1999, we have another investigative report case document, and the subject of this report is a telephone interview with Sonny Shear, who is a representative for AmSpec Inc. And this report is by Detective William Martin with the Homicide Unit, one-page report. So on 6/15/1999 at 1420 hours or 2:20 p.m., the reporting detective, Detective Martin, contacted Sonny Shear by telephone. And like I said, Sonny Shear is a representative for AmSpec Inc., which is reportedly the company where most of the items used for the stunt involving this case were purchased. Shear was reluctant at first to talk with the reporting detective since he could not verify my identity. Shear was told the nature of the telephone call was to obtain documents and information regarding the items purchased regarding this case. Shear stated that he wanted to verify my identity first and consult with his attorney before making any statements or releasing any documents. Interesting. I wonder if AmSpec had received other calls that prompted them to have this sort of reaction to this. I don't know. So I guess that was the end of that conversation. And then later that same day, on 6/15/1999, at 1445 hours, so at 2:45 p.m., so that's 25 minutes after Detective Martin spoke with Sonny Shear at AmSpec. This report says Detective Martin received a telephone call from Donna Mariamsky, who identified herself as an attorney representing Shear and AmSpec. Donna Mariamsky was provided with the details regarding the information and documents we were seeking from the AmSpec company, and she stated they would be willing to assist and cooperate in any possible way. She stated she would have the information researched and then recontact the reporting detective with the results. Sounds good to me. And that's the end of that report. And again, that was on 6/15/1999. And this next document now is dated the same day, 6/15/1999. And I'm going to have to approach this one a little bit differently, as you'll see. But this is just another investigative report case document. And the subject of this report is an interview with Mark Gibson, who is the technical advisor for Lumar Inc. in Hampshire, England. This report is by Detective William Martin with the Homicide Unit. This is a 3-page report, and the date being 6/15/1999. And this report starts off that on 6/15/1999 at 10:10 hours, which would be 10:10 a.m., the reporting detective, and again that's Detective William Martin, contacted Mark Gibson, technical advisor for Lumar Inc. Gibson was advised the reason for the telephone call was the request for information concerning a trigger latch shackle device that their company manufactures and sells. Gibson stated he was familiar with this item and that it was sold as marine and yachting equipment and is not recommended to be used in any other applications. He stated he was not aware of this item being used for any other purposes, such as for rappelling equipment or for stunt work. And then it says Gibson requested that the reporting detective fax him a list of questions concerning this device and its applications that were needed to be answered, and he would research them and then contact the reporting detective with the results. And then it had a fax number here that I redacted, and then it says see page 2 to 3 for the listing of questions sent to Gibson. And then that's the end of the first page, and it does go on to page 2 and 3, so let's take a look at that now. So this is page 2 of 3 of Detective Martin's telephone interview with Mark Gibson of Lumar Inc. And these next 2 pages are the questions that Detective Martin sent to Mark Gibson at Lumar Marine about this device that he had these questions about, this trigger latch shackle device. So this page starts out by addressing Mr. Gibson. It says, my department, and this letter would be from Detective William Martin, and it says, my department is currently investigating the death of Owen Hart, who fell to his death while performing a stunt during a wrestling event. During the performance of this stunt, Hart was to be lowered from the ceiling down to the floor. A device known as a trigger latch shackle, which is manufactured and sold by your company, was used as part of this rappelling stunt. The following are questions that would help us in better understanding your product and its uses. Now, this is how I'm going to have to go about this differently, because this is just a list of questions. And further down in the documents at a later date, there is a response letter from Mark Gibson to Detective Martin that just has the responses to these questions. So I'm going to have to do some jumping back and forth here so that you can get the question and the answer at the same time. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to go now to the document that is the response letter from Mark Gibson, and we'll look at the heading to that, and then we'll jump back and forth between these questions and that document so we can look at the question followed by the answer and back and forth, okay? So let me get over to that quick. And this now is the fax cover letter for the reply from Mark Gibson. And we'll take a look at this quick, and then we'll get into the question and answer. And you can see here, this is dated 6/16/99. This is to Detective Martin from Mark Gibson, and this is about the trigger latch shackles. And this says, Detective Martin, I have received your fax dated 15th June 1999 with questions. Some answers I will be asking our U.S. office to confirm, and so I intend to send a reply to you on Thursday, the 17th June 1999. I trust this is acceptable. Please contact me if you should have any further questions. Regards, Mark Gibson. And that is the cover letter. Alright, so what's on the page now is the document dated 6/17/1999, and this is a fax message from Lumar Marine from Mark Gibson to Detective William Martin, and it says the subject is the trigger latch shackles that Detective Martin was asking Mark Gibson about in the previous document. And there's one page to this document, and Mark Gibson writes, please find following answers to the questions of your fax dated June 15th, 1999. These you can see here numbered 1, 2, 3, and further, and all this are the responses. So this is why I'm going to be jumping back and forth. So let's go back to the other one now and look at the question. And these questions aren't numbered, so to make it a little less confusing for me switching back and forth, I'm going to go ahead and number them. Okay, so let's take a look at question number 1. And it says, What is the trigger latch shackle designed for, and what applications is its use intended for? Now I'm going to jump over to the other document and we'll look at the answer, and then I'll just keep doing that back and forth, okay? And the answer to that first question about what the trigger latch shackle is designed for is right here. It's designed for leisure sailboat applications, for attaching to lines controlling the use of sails and the quick release of the sail. The swivel eye of the trigger latch will be fastened to a line, and the opening part will be clipped to a sail. It is designed to take load through the swivel eye onto a ring, which is hooked to the opening part of the trigger latch, which is attached to a line. Okay? And question number 2. How long has the trigger latch shackle been made by your company? And the answer right here, number 2, I believe we have been manufacturing this product since 1983. Question number 3, are there any other accepted applications this device can be used for? And the answer from Mark Gibson is no. There is not another application that is acceptable. Question number 4, is your company aware of this shackle being sold, used, or distributed by any companies to be used as stunt equipment? And the answer, no. Question number 5. Is your company or distributors aware of a company called AmSpec Inc. out of California buying this shackle and selling it with the purpose of it to be used in conjunction or as stunt equipment? Ooh. So police want to know if AmSpec from California is buying this shackle from England, from Lumar, and reselling it as stunt equipment or to be used with stunt equipment. If that happened, that's not good. So let's see what that answer is. So in response, Mark Gibson says no. I guess that he's not aware whether AmSpec Inc. had been reselling their equipment. So he says no, but Lumar West Coast USA office, based in California, received a call from a company several months ago that may have been AmSpec. Our salesman could not say definitely. The inquiry related to trigger latch shackles. They were told the shackles were no longer being manufactured and we did not sell any. That's a shame that they don't know for sure who that was, because that's a little messed up. I mean, if they're buying something from one company that has it warranted and guaranteed to function in a certain way for a specific purpose, and they take that product and sell it for a different purpose than what the manufacturer originally intended, I mean, that basically, what would that mean for the warranty? I mean, clearly that's a crime. It has to be a type of fraud at least. Would that make the warranty null and void? And would that then take away any liability from Lumar, the original manufacturer, and place responsibility on AmSpec Inc. for selling the product for other purposes than what's intended? I don't know. Like the plot thickens, huh? Question number 6. Does your company recommend this device be used in any other applications besides marine or yacht purposes? Well, I think that we've already established that, right? Because, I mean, up here he asked, are there any other accepted applications the device can be used for? And the answer to that was no. But let's see what the answer to this question number 6 is. And it looks like Mark Gibson's reply to question number 6 is just another no. So, no other recommended usage for this rigging other than marine and yachting and sailing. And question number 7. Is your company aware of anything in particular that this shackle has been used for other than as marine or yacht equipment? Okay, so now police want to know if Lumar is aware of this device being used for any other purpose. They've established this rigging is not recommended to be used for other purposes, but now the question is whether the manufacturer is aware of instances where it had been used for something other than the recommended purpose. So let's take a look. Let's see what the answer is. So the answer to this one is yes, and he says that purpose was a stunt act involving a bungee jump system in Europe, which they were made aware of after it had been used. So, okay then, there we do at least now have one instance where the manufacturer is aware that it was used for the purpose of a stunt. Well, all right then, so he did hear of this equipment being used for another purpose, even though it's not recommended. And question 8, can you send us a brochure or any information that is sold with this shackle, which gives the technical information and the instructions on the proper use or intended use for this product? And the answer from Mark Gibson at Lumar is that attached are copies of a relevant page from our 1998 catalog. And we'll look at that page after we finish the questions. But that was the end of the first page of questions, so let's go on to the second page now. So this is page 3 of 3 of the document that contains the questions that Detective Martin had for Mark Gibson at Lumar. So we're at question number 9. And that question is, can you provide us with a listing of all the companies that are distributors of this shackle for your company? And the answer from Mark Gibson is we would recommend a complete direct customer list for the USA, which we can send from our US office. And I don't think that that customer list is in here. I might have to do a double check, but if it is, I'll include it at the end of the video. Question number 10. Is your company the only one that manufactures this specific shackle? If not, what other companies are you aware of? And the answer to that one is, we are the only one that I am aware that makes this actual shackle. But the same type of shackle is made by the following companies: Tylaska, Sparcraft, and Navtech Norseman Gibb. Question number 11. Are you aware of this shackle ever being called a snap shackle? That's the term we've come to be familiar with in this case, snap shackle, because that's what the stunt coordinators in charge of Owen Hart's stunt had been calling this particular device, when the actual term for it is trigger latch shackle. And the answer to that question is, he says, we do not use this term directly for the trigger latch shackle, but snap shackle is a known generic term in the marine industry. Question number 12. Is this device or any of the shackles sold with a lanyard cord attached to the release? If so, is a photograph available? And the answer from Lumar is no. And last but not least, question number 13. Is this shackle intended to be used as rappelling equipment or in any type of act which would be used to secure a person to any type of harness or rigging? Well, again, I think at this point we can be fairly certain that this shackle was in fact not intended for any use other than for marine purposes such as yachting and sailing. But let's double check that by looking at the answer to the question. And again, the response from Mark Gibson at Lumar is no. And that is the end of the questions that Detective Martin had for Mark Gibson at Lumar. And Detective Martin closes this list of questions with, please contact me with your response. Thank you for your help and assistance in this matter. And then Detective Martin includes his contact information there at the bottom. And Mark Gibson closes his correspondence by asking Detective Martin, please can you let me know which size of trigger latch was used? Then it says, regards, Mark Gibson. And then we have one more fax message from Lumar that is a follow-up to the fax with the responses to the questions. And this fax is dated 6/18/1999. And again, it's to Detective William Martin from Mark Gibson about the trigger latch shackles. And on this fax, Mark Gibson wants Detective Martin to know that in my response to you dated yesterday, I had omitted one piece of information in terms of the intended method of operation. And he goes on to say that on all of the trigger latch castings, we do have instructions cast into the component that says use spike to open. And Mark Gibson says he's sorry, but he had forgotten to look on the product in answering the question. He says, I trust this information is of assistance to you. And then regards, Mark Gibson. And this particular document was separate from the other document that contained the answers to the questions. And so that's all there is to those documents relating to the questions and answers between Detective William Martin with the Kansas City Police Department and Mark Gibson with Lumar Inc. But attached to the document that had the answers to all those questions was this page from the 1998 catalog that Mark Gibson said would have relevant info about the proper use for this product. So I'll leave this on the screen for a little bit. You can pause it, you can look through it. I'm not going to read through it. It's just the warranty and the terms and conditions of the sale. And that's all I have for today. Part 7 is already in the works and will be available soon, and that episode will feature documents regarding property of Owen Hart that had been collected for evidence, a police interview with another stunt coordinator, and another crime scene report. So if you enjoy the content, please subscribe and hit that little bell so you receive notification when the next video drops. Please feel free to leave any comments or questions. And if you'd be interested in supporting the channel, please send contributions to the Cash App link in the description box below. This has been AmKay at Purple Sky 11. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!